If you're a YouTuber, making money from content is what keeps you creating. It's obviously super important. And that is why I am incredibly excited to be partnering with Future on Unboxed. Future provides established YouTube creators with an upfront lump sum payment in exchange for future AdSense revenues for a set period of time. This means you can invest in your team, whether that's editors, producers, thumbnail designers, whatever you need to keep your content machine going forwards. Or alternatively, you can buy a new car or a house. So it's not all about keeping the industry going forwards. It's also about giving creators a great quality of life, which is what it's really about at the end of the day, right? So if you're a YouTuber and you're interested in hearing more, head to Vuture.com. That's VIEWTURE.com. Maddie.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on Unboxed.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, it's amazing. Right, so you are 22 years old?
23.
23, sorry. You told me this before we started and I still get it wrong. 23. You've been doing this now for 4 years?
Well, no, full time, only a year actually.
A year?
But 2 years in total.
Okay.
Like, since I really started doing it. Yeah.
And why did you start? What got you into this?
Literally a bit of a fluke, to be honest. It was just for fun. Like, it really was for fun. Like, yeah. I think a lot of people I speak to now that started like specifically on TikTok have that same like story of like it was just for fun, like the lockdown, boredom. Yeah. But it wasn't really for me in the lockdown. It kind of happened like when things started opening up again. But I had been making videos just for my friends like on there, and then you kind of forget that like when you put videos out on the internet, everyone can see them. Yeah. And they have the ability to just go viral. Yeah. So that's literally kind of what happened. Like one day I just put one out like for fun, thinking no one would see it, and then
it's a million views.
Yeah. About 13 million views later.
It's 30 million views.
Yeah. It was
what was the video?
It was this like really random like trend. I can't even explain it to people unless you like have seen the video. Some people have seen the video and remember it. It was like literally I was like swinging my arm really fast. Like I don't know.
Does anyone know what anything on TikTok really is?
No.
It's 30 million views. 30 million people now see.
Yeah.
So that is that. I mean, what was it like to wake? Did you literally wake up and you were like, whoa.
Yeah, I had so many messages from my friends like, wake up, your video's gone viral. Yeah. I was like, oh no. Like it actually made me feel so anxious. Like I've never felt so anxious in my life. Yeah. Because I used to be, and I still am to a point, but I used to be someone who really cared about what the people thought of me. And I always wanted people to like me, and like the prospect of like people being able to say whatever they wanted about me to that extent when it gone that viral, I was like, that literally put me into like I was literally like in a ball in my room, like so scared. Like, I was like, this is horrible.
It's not, and actually being on your own in your room is probably because it's right there, right? Like it's not that you can go out and escape it.
Literally.
I mean, how did you sort of manage that first time?
Or did you not really manage it? I just I felt a lot of pressure actually, because I thought I gained quite a few followers from this video. And then obviously when people then have seen one video, they'll go through your profile and view your other ones. Yeah. And at that point, I hadn't posted a huge amount.
Delete.
Yeah. No, but actually a lot of people were viewing them and like, oh, hi. Like they were catching on like that. Oh, this girl's quite funny. And then I was like, oh God, okay. People are kind of enjoying these videos. Like maybe I should just carry on with it. And then I was thinking like, what's my next one going to be? Like, how am I going to follow up this one? It got so many views. Yeah. And so it took like a few days for me to kind of like post something else afterwards.
Bit self-conscious of the eyeballs.
Really self-conscious.
And you would be, if you were stood in the middle of a stadium with 30 million people around you, you probably wouldn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Apart from curled up in a ball.
Crazy. Like it was a lot, but actually I kind of like just broke through that like wall of like, just post what you want. Don't let the pressure get to you too much. Yeah. And actually I was kind of like not that bothered at the time about making it a thing. Like I just thought it was
see where it goes. It's fun.
Yeah, I was
more
like,
than anything.
This could end up as nothing. Like it's just funny that this has just gone viral and like let's just roll with it, you know?
Do you ever get sort of nervousness posting something to so many people where you go like you're fluttering between confidence one moment and then actually, I don't know, is this funny? Is this going to work? Is that kind of a daily thing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I have like a lot of belief and confidence in myself, and I feel like I'm at a point now where I have like established a very clear content like niche, you know. So I know most of the time my videos are gonna do well. if I'm following that sort of niche thing that everyone's expecting. But yeah, you still get anxiety of like, oh, what if one day like no one likes my videos anymore? But that's why I'm trying to just use TikTok as a stepping stone for me. Like it really for me now is like
to means to an end.
Yeah, it's like, this is great. This is gonna be an amazing platform, but like, what's next? You know?
Yeah. And what is next?
I don't know. No, I have like I know what I would love to be next, and the acting is what I want to do. I mean, the comedy acting is something that I never even saw as part of my career ever, because when I was at drama school, it was just never something that I got the opportunity to do. But then since doing my TikTok, I've just like fallen in love with it really, and I think. Yeah, that's what I would really love to continue to do. Right, I would love to write a sitcom. I would love to be in sitcoms. But acting, just generally, you know, I enjoy all acting. So
yeah, who are your references? Like, who do you love?
I love Daisy May Cooper.
Yeah,
she's like just a boss babe to me. Like in terms of comedy, like women in comedy. But do you know? I always forget his name. One of my favourite sitcoms ever is Statler's Flats.
Yeah.
So that to me is like my humour to a T. Like I honestly make people sit down and watch it. I'm like, if you've not seen it, we're watching it right now. Watch it right now because I just love it so much. It just like sums up my humour so much.
Yeah.
That. Who else? Well, as a kid, like Jim Carrey, Melissa McCarthy. Like, you know, it's just like. People who are just silly are my favourite type of comedians. I don't like to think about comedy too much. I think it's just
go with it, be
funny.
yourself.
Yeah,
and just
be yourself.
Be silly.
Yeah, be silly.
And obviously amazing news with your incredible opportunity. Can you tell us about the opportunity now for you to act in a Channel 4 show, which is obviously amazing. How does that feel and how did that come about in the first place?
Well, one, it feels surreal. Like still now I'm like pinching myself and like until it comes out I won't believe that it's real. I think I've been cut from the entire thing. So it came about because the writer Camilla Whitehill, I unknowingly knew that she watched my TikToks and was a fan of my TikToks. And my management got an email through one day and was like, hey, like we'd just love to see Maddie for this part for a new Channel 4 sitcom that's coming out. And, you know, I was thinking like, oh, like here we go. Like what's it going to be? And okay, like let's just go for the audition. I got the script through and it was for Jade. And I was reading it. I thought, okay, yeah, I could do this. Like that's fine. But because I'd just been to so many auditions and gone through so many things, and because I have no experience in straight acting in terms of auditions, because my whole training was musical theatre, which is a completely different environment in an audition room. I thought, no, I don't stand a chance. And you know, it's only a small part. It's one episode, but I thought, oh, this would just be great if I could get this, you know. And anyway, so I went to audition. I thought I'd done a terrible job. I came out and I thought, oh my God, there's no way. Yeah. Like that
back to TikTok.
Literally, I thought, fine, okay, I was seen, great. Yeah. Another one under the belt, another audition, great. Anyway, and then about a week later, they rang and they were like, yeah, we'll love Maddie to do it.
Sick.
And I was just like, oh my God. I was like screaming on the phone, because that's like the first, like, if you take away TikTok, I know it came about for my TikTok, but just take that away. For me, just to even get something through doing an audition feels like the biggest milestone, because of how many rejections you experience as an actor, like whether that be through, well, a performer, just anyone creative, you know, it's like you're just rejected constantly. And so for me, I was just like, it felt not real, because I was just like, oh my God, this is my first time being told, well, since coming out of drama school, first time being told yes.
Yes. So you'd never had...
I'd never worked professionally as an actor since leaving drama school. Yeah.
But also what a full circle moment to actually prove as well that social and this space of being a creator can actually be a means to you realising your like lifelong ambitions, not just going down the creator route because that's the be all and end all. Yeah. And actually you've done, like, this is it almost feels like for you it's probably day one, right, actually, this show. Yeah. In a way, of the career you've always wanted.
This is the thing, I hope to look back on me doing this show and be like, oh, this is where it all began.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that first IMDb credit.
I would love that. But no, it was just like, you know, for me as well, I thought, you know, this hasn't been all for nothing. Like, you know, even if, God forbid, touch wood, this show leads to just, you know, that's it, I never act ever again, I can still say my TikTok led me to that. And I think a lot of people, you know, friends and people in the background have just been like, oh, what even really is the TikTok? Like, is it going to, you know, and
is it
I think
go anywhere?
actually,
is it worth the time? Is it worth, yeah, for sure.
And I feel it was really reassuring, and I was very proud of myself to say I put myself out there when times were really tough for actors, and I took matters into my own hands. And, you know, I'm very gratefully saying it's working out for me.
How did it feel being, obviously having, I guess, the acting and the performing instinct, growing up, being trained in musical theatre, obviously very different. How did it feel? Was it like an instinct kicking back in, like being there? Like, I've been working for this my whole life. Like, was it that kind of feeling, or did you feel a bit out of place at all?
I did feel out of place, but I think I felt out of place because I was coming in as like a content creator, a TikToker. But then I thought I was sat in the trailer before I was taken up to start filming. I thought, no, you've trained for this. Like, you know, you've acted your whole life.
Bit of a look in the mirror, like slap yourself.
Yeah, I was like, it doesn't matter that just because you've got this title of content creator, it doesn't mean you're any less of an actor than anybody else. You've just decided to take a different, that's your job alongside it. Like, it's not, it doesn't mean you're, like I'm saying, like it doesn't make you any less of an actor than anybody else here just because you've come from a different route.
Yeah.
So I did feel out of place, but then once I got in there and it all just came flooding back, like you say, and it was just like, yeah, this is what I can do. And actually, it was so nice to have someone put their trust in me as a comedian doing comedy acting, because I'd never had that. Like I've mentioned before, it was so fun, and just to have somebody believe in me for that and say, yeah, we know you do TikTok, but I believe in you as an actor. Was really fun.
It's amazing. Obviously, comedy is distinctly difficult because it's entirely subjective, and it's, as an individual, like trying to be funny generally is like the hardest thing. Like, how do you find, like, do you bounce off people? Like, what's your process to making videos? Is it just like, I think this is funny, I'm going to get this out? Like, or do you bounce it off a little committee? Like, different people have different processes, right? To make sure that what they do is actually decent. Like, what is your workflow in your process?
Really random, to be honest. I think I don't make a video unless I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I've discovered, is if I find it funny, it probably is funny. Because I'm funny. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, of course.
But I think
1.2 million people think so. Yeah. So come on.
It's just it really is just like in the moment. If I find it funny, if I'm doing like a bit of a skit situation, it's probably because I've seen it in the day and I've thought, oh my god,
that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I need to make that when I get home.
How important is it to kind of go with your instinct, you think, on a platform like TikTok?
Massively. I think for me, massively has to be that. Like, you can't think about it too much.
Yeah.
I think if you're, I don't know, people have sometimes people's content's much more structured, and if that's their thing, then that's great. But like, people don't want to see me be like
put together.
No, they want to see me be crazy and just like in the moment, because that's what they I think it reads to people because it's just relatable and like in the moment. Yeah. And TikTok, I think, has become that for a lot of people. It's like they just want to see normal people doing things that they also do, but now they're putting it on the internet.
Yeah. And actually, even though there's, social, I think for so many years, like Instagram dominating, being very much about people being anything but relatable, obviously everything's super aspirational. I guess I think a lot of people are almost relieved now that there's like real people out there and they're funny and they're broadcasting this. They're seeing them now, because before it was very difficult for those people to cut through.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I think it's like such a positive thing, actually. I mean, there'd be no way I would be doing this job if it was about looking good all the time and like being like
I don't know how people do it. Yeah.
It's like there was no way I was going to be an influencer. And this is the thing, like with the word influencer, I spoke about this before with somebody. It's like it really has this kind of negative connotation to it because for so long it existed in that universe of like, it was fake. It wasn't real. Nothing was real life. Yeah. And now it's kind of changing. The narrative is changing of being an influencer because it's coming from a wave of new normal people on TikTok who are now influencers. And it's like, I mean, it's got, I think that word still has a way to go. A lot of people still say content creator.
How would you define yourself?
I would just say I'm an actor, but I do TikTok.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
But I think I get described as an influencer and content creator, which is fine. I don't mind at all.
But there's a difference, right? And I think, the kind of Instagram generation, the whole game was about influencing insofar as you make money through brands who obviously you're trying to sell to your community and your audience. Whereas now I think you're right, it's so much more about that sort of two-way relationship. It's not just you broadcasting out, it's actually you like having a community.
Yes.
And actually people liking you as a person, as a comedian, and that's then the relationship that you have, rather than it being like, well, I'm looking up to this person as being all the way over there. So actually no, you're like someone's friend. And that's I guess the closeness, right?
Definitely. I think people want to feel like they're your friend.
Yeah.
And I feel like all my followers are my friends.
And you've been doing this now professionally for 1 year.
Yeah, just over a year.
What was the moment where you were like, quit my job, doing this full time?
Oh my God.
What was that? Yeah. What was that feeling like to leave whatever you were doing? And what were you doing before?
I was teaching on the weekends. I was teaching kids.
Musical theatre?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And I loved my job. I actually really loved it. I loved my class of kids. I was really sad to leave them actually, because I'm such a person, like whatever I'm doing, I'll throw myself into it. And so at that time I was really teaching the real little ones. They were like 3 to 6 year olds. And there was so many kids that started that class never speaking. They couldn't even speak out loud. And like I got them to the point where they were all talking and they were speaking out loud. And then I had to leave and I was so sad. But so it was a mixture of emotions, really. I was sad to leave those little kids because they were my favourites, but I was also just like overwhelmingly excited about this just new world that I was about to enter. And it really was overnight. I was just thrown in to this world that I knew nothing about. And I mean, my manager, Nia Pickering, is the best in the world, but she's just like a godsend. Like she really just threw me in, but she never made me feel uncomfortable, or she's just helped me every step of the way to understand this industry. And so it was just very, very overwhelming, but so exciting. And I was just like, I couldn't wait to just work for myself.
What gave you the security? Was it like financially you got, like, it was a brand deal, which was like, okay, cool, I'm set up for a period of time now. Like what was the moment, what was the blanket, if you will, that gave you that security to jump in?
It was when I realised I could start making money from it. I was making money-ish. I had someone, my dad's a musician and in that world. So he had a manager who took me on just for a little bit while I was finding my feet.
Yeah, while you were still working.
Yeah, I was still working part-time, but I started having brands approach, and I thought, well, it'd be silly not to, start making some money from this. So he was helping me just with contracts and stuff, but really he didn't know the magnitude of what I could be, being paid for ads and things. I mean, I had no understanding of that either. So, but anyway, I was just doing that, and it was, getting to a point where I was up in my followers, and so my fee was increasing. And he actually approached me and said, I think you really need to get like a proper management who knows this world. So once I spoke to a few managements and they were sort of telling me like what I could be doing and who I could be working with, I thought, okay, I'm just going to throw myself into this. And it's when I felt like I could be financially stable by just doing it. So
so it wasn't overly scary to make the jump.
No, I think it's sort of, I was eased into it because I'd done smaller brand deals, and so I sort of had an understanding of what you could be making, but it's just that feeling of like literally all you're going to be doing now is this is going to be your job. But I could see beyond, and I was like, this is my stepping stone, and I'm going to roll with it, and I really enjoy it, so why would I not do it?
So you said about your dad. Love touching on your family a little bit. So your dad, you said, in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah. What's his story, and how has his work within the music industry impacted, I guess, your creativity, right? Because I'm sure musicians who succeed are exceptionally creative people, so you would have had that growing up, right?
Yeah, I mean, my dad is probably my he's my backbone, like, for the way I am, massively. Like, I can remember as a kid, just like, my dad's never done anything else. And it didn't matter if he was being successful at it or not, he was not doing anything else. Like, and I think that's really important to point out, is that a lot of people will assume because you're a musician or you're still managing to work as a musician doesn't mean you're making massive amount of money. And I only realize that now. Like, my dad was, he never made a lot of money.
Especially in music,
really,
right? Where it's always been incredibly volatile.
He really didn't. But he never once said, I'm going to go and work somewhere else as well. Like, he was so like, this is my passion, this is my job. I'm not, And actually, probably a bit too stubborn, because I probably would have gotten a job just to make ends meet. But he never did. And I think actually that's like, credit to him. But what I'm trying to say is that has like shaped me and my sisters. I've got two sisters, for being the way we are. My mum also is extremely hardworking, but my dad, just being in that world and everything, has taught me so much about standing your ground. And he's got 3 daughters, and he's such a boss in terms of like empowering us as women. And so he's been incredibly inspiring for me in my journey with this, massively.
It's something interesting actually about the fact that with social generally and being a creator, you have to be so committed to it and love it so much that it doesn't matter whether one video bangs or doesn't. If you're proud of it, you're proud of it. And I guess that's probably the tussle where people want results quickly and they want to make money, make a business. But actually, if you're doing it for those reasons, you're not going to enjoy the ride and the process. And music's pretty similar actually, where, as you say, musicians can spend most of their career not making any money, but if you love it and it's your passion, then that's more important than anything else, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad talks about a lot how he remembers the band split up, and before he did the band, he was in the building industry, and he split up with the band, and he says, I always remember this story. He was on like all fours in someone's toilet, like fixing the loo. And the person said, oh, aren't you that Toby Jepson from that old band, Little Angels? And he just said, oh my God, that was the low point, because he'd gone from like that to fixing someone's loo. But, he found himself again, got back up and managed to
there's such a clear comparison actually, I think, between the music industry in the late 20th century, right, actually to this space now, probably, in that people have their highs, their lows, but actually you have to find your thing, you have to find your what you're good at and build around that, whether or not you're getting affirmed by views and likes and followers like that almost can't dictate how you value yourself and how you see yourself, in the same way that actually somebody saying that to him, that might have been the thing which made him go, you know what, I love it so much, I need to get back into this.
I think it was.
I'm not here for validation or just to make money. I'm here to actually like do what I love,
Yeah, it's finding the love in it. I think that's the thing for me, for any creative. I think sometimes your passion, when it becomes your job, can feel like a chore, because you lose that, you forget why you started doing it in the first place.
So you're in this industry full time, having made the plunge. What have been some of the kind of wildest moments where you look back and go, like, you pinch yourself, you're like, that was ridiculous, or how did that happen? What have been some of those moments for you so far?
Probably more recently, actually, is when when Meghan Trainor asked me on a podcast, that was like a bit of a moment for me, actually. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm in Meghan Trainor's house right now, eating pizza with Meghan Trainor. Right.
This is life now. Cool.
And I love Meghan Trainor. I used to listen to her music. She was like, I used to sing her songs for auditions.
Did you really?
Yep. And I told her, I said, why am I sat in your house right now?
Why did you ask me to do this?
Why? Why?
Yeah.
And then when I met with the Jonas Brothers a couple of weeks ago, that was like a moment I thought, what is going on?
Your prime time for that.
Honestly.
Because you're 3 years younger than me, 2 years younger than me. We were that Disney Channel generation, basically. Probably on the end of it, but still, like, that was Friday nights, Disney Channel, Jonas Brothers.
Oh my God. It was just crazy. And like, when I got in to see him, I knew Joe Jonas follows me on TikTok, and I already knew he followed me on TikTok. And like, his team had like arranged for a load of TikTokers to come and do it. But then I got a a personal DM from Joe Jonas being like, are you coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
I was like, stop bothering me.
Yeah, oh, come on, Joe.
I was like, yes, I'm coming. And he was like, great. I was like, what is going on? But no, that was these moments when I meet people that I've looked up to for so long and have inspired me to meet them, and they say, like, you're just doing so well. And I'm like, this is mad.
Yeah.
Like that, those are the moments for me that I'm...
The pinchy moments which go, this is crazy.
My God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And the Channel 4 show, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And how do you deal with, TikTok is a kind place sometimes, but it's a bit of a cesspit other times. How do you deal with that personally? Because, being, obviously saying about the 13 million moment where overnight you've just got all these eyeballs on, and I'm sure there was lots of negativity because TikTok is rife, as well as lots of positivity. But how do you deal with that personally today? Like, what has been, obviously that was a couple of years ago now, so how do you, from a sort of mental health and wellbeing perspective, look after yourself with it all?
I mean, I am very lucky that I don't deal with a massive amount of hate. I do feel like I've been on the app long enough now that people just go, oh, if they don't like it, they scroll past. But I mean, in the beginning, it was horrible. Like, it really was horrid. I'm never going to pretend that it doesn't affect me. But, I just tend not to look, to be honest. I just don't look. And if I do see anything, I just delete and block, to be honest. I just won't have it on my page.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's not something I have to overly worry about. However, I did go on a brand trip, and that was really funny experience because it's like you're put within a group of influencers, and actually all my influencer friends are lovely, and we all actually really genuinely do get along. But we'd sort of been made to go to this club night as part of the trip. And like, I mean, I had no idea it was going to be to the extent that it was. And it was almost like a club appearance situation, which I would... Had they told me, I was never have agreed to have done that, because that is so embarrassing.
Oh, no, yeah.
And like...
So were fans there?
Well,
like
fans,
but like just people. But...
Yeah, just like it was like a ticketed event, and it was going to be like, TikTokers are there, TikTokers are there.
No, but they marketed it as like you guys were going to be there.
And you'll meet some TikTokers. Honestly, vile.
Out the back.
So I didn't realise that that's what it was going to be, and we showed up at this club, opened the door, like to open the car door for us to walk in, and we were just being hounded, like shouted at.
No way.
I'd throw snow in my face because we were on a ski resort. I'd throw snow in my snow thrown in my face.
Yes.
And like, I've never felt like that much hate before. Like, as in, you just don't really get it on my page. I feel like everyone's really actually loving and just wants to have a laugh. But obviously we were in a mixture of people who all bring different audiences, right? But I don't, not that people who are on the trip bring horrible followers, but you know, it's just like I don't really ever have to deal with anything like that. And that was
grim.
Horrid. Like that was
why
really
was that?
horrible.
Why? Like, what do you think led? Like, what do you think drove the negativity in that? Because if you paid for a ticketed event to go and see people, like, do you think it was, like, I don't know, like, why was there any? Why are people throwing snow in your face? Like, that's such a weird thing.
I honestly don't know. I think, to be honest, I think it strives from jealousy.
People booked tickets to this event. Yeah,
and it was like we'd also been at what should they call it? Oh, at Ski the day before, and we would put up on just like this area. It was like a raised area, a VIP area, for whatever you want to call it. And we were getting snowballs thrown at us. So like people were like really not liking us, and it's just weird to me. I mean, you just see me as, because I've got the title of influencer, and then immediately I'm not likable, which is a shame, because I don't think half these people probably even knew who I was, and that's probably what was angering them. They were like, well, who is she?
Yeah.
Which I can understand, but then, you know, just get to know me and you know that I'm actually a really nice person, so you don't need to throw snow at me. Like, that was just a really very, very strange experience, and actually caused me a lot of anxiety, because I was bullied at school and had stuff thrown at me by people as part of like bullying. So it was just really, really triggering for me. It was horrible. I've just never had to ever deal with that. So, but really that's a rare thing. Like I don't, out in public, I really don't have to worry about people saying stuff to me.
And with your friends, you know, who you have in the space with other creators, like, do you talk to them sometimes about like well-being, mental health, like looking after each other? Do you support each other with some of that stuff as well? Like even on that trip, like was everybody, were you talking about it with everybody else and going, what is going on? Like what's...
Yeah, but I do feel like people are just generally a lot better at dealing with it than me.
Right.
I feel out of place sometimes.
Sensitive soul.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. And I think like I remember just taking myself off when everything was happening. They were kind of like trying to find the fun in it and they were throwing snowballs back. But to me, I was like, I actually just took myself off because I had to sat on my own. And I was just like, I can't actually be around it because I just can't. I just hate it. And yeah, it's kind of the same with any sort of like hate that you get online. As everyone's very supportive. No one ever makes me not feel supported, but I do find it hard to talk to other creators about it because I often feel like maybe I'm being dramatic,
right?
Which is just how I feel generally in life or going through as a sensitive person. I think a lot of sensitive people will agree. It's like quite hard to talk to people about
because you don't want to be that guy or that person.
Yeah, you don't. And as well, because I'm seen as like the funny, crazy person. When I'm not that, people are like,
it's almost,
oh my god, what's wrong with Maddie? Do you know what I mean?
But also, I think you're comedy's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right, actually as a practice, and you're giving yourself and you're putting yourself out there to such an extent, especially with humour. You know, it's why a lot of comedians suffer with extreme depression, suffer with anxiety, and actually it's always a thing that, you know, comedians, people who are sort of making a living being funny, often are the darkest souls and have the most struggles because actually it's just constant vulnerability, I think, to such an extreme level, and you can't really be yourself. Everyone expects you to always be up here. And I guess your type of content is very real, it's you, but for a lot of other influencers it might be a bit more, you know, not necessarily that, it might be slightly more like they're playing a bit of a character, which gives them a bit of a defense. But with you, it might hit more personally if that stuff happens.
I think it does, but I think a lot of people see my content as a character, but it really actually isn't. Like it's just it's an extension of me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not someone I've got to go, I just like click into character. It's actually just, if you hung out with me enough, you would see that it is just me. Like, so yeah, I do take things personally, but yeah, it's a funny one. It's a funny one because I know I have to toughen up a little bit because this is just what it's going to be like now. And I feel like I have definitely from the beginning to now is like...
night and day.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to somebody who is starting out, got to see somebody, you know, been posting on TikTok, living a normal life, they blow up overnight and they're just flooded with a mix of good, a mix of bad, but, you know, they've just got visibility all at once. Like, what would be your advice to them to kind of take that on?
I would say just breathe and think about the positives rather than the negatives, because I do think a lot of the time the positives outweigh the negatives. And if you're really just making like very innocent content, just remember that you are just making very innocent content. And I would say filter words you don't want to see.
Yeah, before.
And don't be afraid of the block button.
Right, so where do you want to take your channels, your career next? Obviously, talk about acting. What is kind of next for you in terms of your vision? When you sit down with your management, what do you guys say? I
say I want to get to a point where TikTok is like, oh, do you remember when Maddie used to do TikTok?
Yeah.
I would love for it to get to that point where it was like, it wasn't my main my main, like
your main thing.
My main thing. Yeah. I would love it to just be something that I can do for fun. There's not so much pressure surrounding it. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm really making out as if it's like, oh, I'm not. I'm extremely happy for it to just be like, if I always say, if the worst case scenario is all I do for the rest of my life is just TikTok and exist with working with brands and working with people and like I'm doing now, great. But that's not my dream.
That's where it starts.
Yeah. So I would love for it to get to a point where it's it's not my sole purpose, you know. It's like
it doesn't. Yeah. It's just saying you've got that bigger vision.
Yeah,
which is still there, and that will always be there.
I want to act. I want to do more TV. I want to do. I want to write. I want to go back.
Have you written something before?
No. Do you know? I've never really sat down and written anything because
you should do it.
My belief in myself as a writer is extremely low.
That's why you should do it. It's so writing is so hard. Like as I'm sure you'll know, it's like the hardest thing. But actually, once you can only, I think, I'm not right by any means, but from those I've seen, it's like once you've kind of practiced and got past, same way one might have that sort of overthinking sense when it comes to posting content. It's the same principle, right? You sort of just got to go for it, start.
Yeah.
And actually from then you'll get better and better. Your first one, like with everything, every creator we speak to, it's like, oh yeah, the first video was awful, but I'm so glad I did it, because if it wasn't for that and every video getting better and better and better, I wouldn't be here now. You should do it, write a script.
No, I know, I want to. I really do. I'm not very academic. And I always struggled to write it at school. But this is
there's some great courses on YouTube and like good books and stuff, like around like structuring. And then actually once you get some of that,
I kind of want to challenge it though.
Yeah.
Like I want to challenge that narrative.
Well, great. There you
because
go.
I feel like there's so many creative people who are extremely talented, have amazing ideas, but are just can't get it down on paper.
Yeah.
And I feel part of that community.
Yeah.
Like if you know, I used to think this at school. If they asked me the question and I had to speak about it, I'd probably be able to speak about it and explain it really well. But the fact that I had to sit and write was my downfall, because I just struggled so much. And I think I've never been diagnosed with dyslexia, but I do feel like I probably do have dyslexia. Yeah. But it was just something I never really picked up on when I was younger, and I don't really have to worry about it anymore necessarily. But people who do have dyslexia, I think like there should be another way in which we can work. Although there is other ways. I want to get in a room with some other actors and say, this is my structure, this is what I want to do, this is the scene, this is my idea for this scene. Let's just improv it and get someone to write it for us.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a shame for people who might struggle at school but have amazing creative minds to miss out on being writers or put their ideas down on paper just because they actually
can't do the writing.
Yeah.
It's a really good point, actually. And actually so many creative people struggle with, writing.
Yeah, they do.
And struggle also with things like narrative and stuff, even though the comedy and the actual scenes, the moments might be brilliant, they need someone to help piece it together. But maybe it's almost like a ghostwriting type thing, or finding a writing partner. A lot of people have that, right? Like a writing partner who can take your creativity, give it the more sort of TV ready or film ready structure, but then you're still leading and you're able to creatively direct. It's like not looking at creators as having to do every element of that process. You creatively direct it, but someone else can put it to paper. Yeah. That kind of thing.
Because I know I can come up with really good comedy scenes. I mean, I have so many ideas and I do it on my TikTok with my sketches, but never once have I written anything down and then gone, right, that's my script. I just do it. I improv it in the moment. Ideas come up. And I think that's how I would love for that to continue. That's how I will work.
Makes a lot of sense. Right, so looking to the future again. Where do you see you've been in this now? Not too much time, but obviously not a lot of time. You've done so much. Like where do you see from your time now, where do you see the space going? Like what's next, do you think, from a macro perspective for TikTok, for social, for the creator economy?
Oh my gosh. That's a big question.
It's only the big questions here, mate.
I see like we briefly discussed, I'd see the word influencer changing, or people's perspective of that word changing. And I see there being hopefully a lot more of a control over what people can say on apps, comment on apps, like trolls. I think I would really love for that to become a bit more under control. But I see TikTok as a very, very positive movement for social media, because I think for young kids growing up, having TikTok as their main form of social media, in my opinion, is great, because you see so many different types of people on there sharing different experiences, different cultures. I hear more about the news on TikTok than I do actually on the news. So that's a really hard question, but I see it changing just the game of social media in general. I think it opens up doors for people who might not necessarily have ever had doors open for them, and I think that's incredible. It gives people the opportunity to make something of themselves when they might not have been able to do that. So I just hope it continues to do that. I hope it continues to make jobs for people and empower people to just like take matters into their own hands. Like, you've got the opportunity to make something of yourself.
I think, the ability to be seen now is probably the best it's been for so long. And actually the opportunity for someone like yourself, right, to change your life through a platform like a TikTok or Shorts or anything else, it hasn't been this exciting in a way for a long time.
No.
And actually there's so much negativity, but actually there's so much positivity with it as well, which is that, normal people can break through. Yes. And actually, if you're funny and if you make great content, if you can, deliver good hooks, deliver like value for people, then it's possible. Whereas before, you have the best creators getting nowhere purely because they were trapped behind Instagram, trapped behind Facebook, and it's just, these platforms just weren't about discovery, really.
Yeah. I think on a more of a personal level as well, like TikTok, I think does so much for young girls, and I see, like, even for me, I'm like, I never had somebody that I used to watch, or I know there definitely was, but I mean, I see so many young girls on that app now that are just being silly and being loud and not caring what people think of them and not showing themselves looking their best all the time. I think that's really healthy. I think it's
from what we've had for the last decade or so, it's like it's definitely a refreshing sort of market correction.
And it's challenging the idea that like girls can't be like loud and funny, and that was a big thing for me. I've noticed when I first started, like, all my hate comments were just from men telling me I wasn't funny, and I thought, but you're just saying that because you're a man. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and now actually that I get that less and less, because I think they probably do find me funny. Just admit you find me funny.
Yeah, actually, that video was pretty good. Okay, I'm going to stop commenting now.
I'm like, but that was just the weirdest thing for me. To really, but what I'm trying to say is, I think hopefully I am inspiring other young girls to just be themselves and don't feel like you have to, shrink yourself because of the society we live in and misogyny and blah, blah, blah. Like, just be yourself. And that's just from me, but I see it in everything. It's like, there's so much more body positivity now on that app. You see all different types of bodies, and, even just like random videos of people reviewing clothes on a certain type of body. Is like, where would you ever see that, ever, usually?
Last question. Who is a creator that you're loving at the minute?
Oh my God. So many.
I know.
Oh, so many. I've just followed a person called Soph Galustian. I don't know how to say their last name, but they're a gay creator. And I say that because their content is all about TikTok lesbian doing this, TikTok lesbian doing that. And she's a scream. I'm really good. Love, love, love. I mainly follow comedy creators, not going to lie. Who else?
You can do 3.
3?
You can do 3. You're allowed 3.
There is a singing creator, actually, who I love. And she's called Tyler Lewis. If you've not listened to her, listen to her. She's up and coming. She's incredible. Please go listen to her. And then my good friend Ayame. Ayame. Have you heard of Ayame?
Ayame.
She's great.
What sort of stuff?
She does comedy videos, and she's just another comedy queen, boss bee, paving the way for young girls. So I had to mention my queen.
It's a good 3.
So yes. And obviously my best friend Kyron.
But that goes without saying. Goes without saying.
Goes without saying.
Well, Maddie, thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
It's been so much fun. I speak to you all day.
It's been so nice to actually just be like normal.
Yeah, for once.
No, thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.